Hello fellow colorists, welcome back to the channel. It's Jody here, and today we are hopefully going to have a nice relaxing color and chat. I am going to be coloring a page from this new book to me. It's The Art of War coloring book, illustrated by Pete Katz. I first saw this book on Canadian Colorist Art channel, and I will tag her review of the book below in the description. November is also Movember, which is bringing awareness to men's cancers, and so I thought it would be fun to do a page that has a man with a mustache, and it's very actually hard. I looked in most of my books and I only had one other picture, and that was in grains of gold of a man, close-up picture, and I already had colored him. So I thought I might as well take an opportunity and start this fun book. I have also bought the graphic novel by the same artist, illustrated by Pete Katz, so that I could have a kind of a vision of what these pictures kind of look like. So I sometimes do that when I have a coloring book that has also a book, and I will purchase both. So some nice pictures there. I am going to be using a variety of items today, including some silver Art Finetech watercolors. I have selected some colors for this guy, and I have started by doing one of the Chinese lanterns. So what I thought is I would bring you along while I color. I'll answer a few table topic questions, and that will be today's video. If that's something that you find interesting, then please grab a cup of tea and let's get started. So I'm going to drop the camera down a little bit so you're a little bit closer, because we are going to be working on just the fellow and the lanterns in this today. There's quite a bit on this page, and to see the completed page, I would just suggest you watch my completed pages video at the end of the month. But I will zoom you in. We will do one of these lanterns together. I am using polychromos pencils, and I will tell you the color combinations that I am using. So we'll zoom you in a little bit. I want the lanterns to look like there is glowing underneath, so I am using dark cadmium yellow, which is number 108. I am then also using scarlet red 118 as kind of my mid red, and then for my dark red, this tiny little pencil, which is I believe it's called middle cadmium red, and it's 217, and it's getting pretty tiny. I may have to break out my spare one after this page, but we shall see. Let me get comfortable. Okay, so I'm going to start with my yellow, and I'm going to lightly color the center area because that's where the brightest glow will be. And then I am taking my next color, which is scarlet, and I am going to cover the whole thing, but just in a light coat. And I always generally go in small circles. So now I'm covering the entire page or lantern. Now I'm going to come in with my darkest red, and that's going to go up at the very top and bottom. And my furnace is just kicked on, so I apologize for that noise. And on the bottom. And I just kind of blend upwards, keeping the darkest color along the bottom. And then I come in with the scarlet red, blending those two together. I'm going to go over the full amount with the full lantern, and you can see the yellow is still shining through even though it was only a light layer, but I will come in and I will do a larger area of the yellow So with polychromos, I like to build up my pencils. This is fairly smooth paper, and this is the first time I'm using it, so still getting to know how many layers this paper can take, but so far it's good. So I hope everybody is doing well today. Today is actually Guy Fawkes Day, so I actually looked first for a picture of that fellow and learned a little bit more about him and the gunpowder incident. But I didn't have any like adult coloring type pictures. Most of them were not what I was looking for, so now, I haven't used Gamsol at all on this, and I don't think I'm going to. I like the way it's looking already. So the top of the lantern is going to be a little darker on the one side. Really liking how the yellow and the two reds are looking. I think that looks sharp. Exactly what I was going for. So I will pull out some table topic questions. They are from the dinner party edition. It's the only edition that I have. So let's start with one of the questions. If you could trade houses with someone, whose home would you choose? I guess it would have to be someone who lived in a warm environment, because winter lasts here like 6-7 months out of the year, and it's hard. I have breathing issues. I use oxygen every day, so it's hard to go outside and get things done and be productive when you are dealing with your cannula freezing and everything else. So I'm not sure whose house I would trade with though. So if you live on a beach, let me know, and maybe we can swap houses once in a while. I do have a deserted island tag coming up, and yeah, well, I was filming that while it was still snowing here, and that sounded like a good idea at the time. Okay, I will do this one. I'll speed up the camera a little bit maybe. The next question is, what sport do you wish was more popular? I'm not a sports person, but this is popular. So the sport that I would like to see more on television than is the Paralympics. They are on there a little bit, but you really have to work hard at finding the events, and I wish that the Paralympics got as much coverage as the able-bodied Olympics did. So, as somebody who is disabled myself, it would be nice to see that equity in the sports reporting. But I wondered if there is a sport that you would like to see more popular. So let me know your comments and ideas down below. Okay, I'm going to call these lanterns done. I will not make you watch me complete the other three on the page. Let me zoom you back out. So there's 3 lanterns here. and there are 3 lanterns over here. So I will do them exactly the same. So let's go ahead and start on our guy here. And I am going to do him in shades of, it's a dark turquoise kind of blue. So I've pulled out a Ecoline brush marker, and let's see if they have color names. It says Prussian blue, so they do have color names and numbers. And then I've also got Hilo turquoise 155, cobalt turquoise 153, and light cobalt turquoise 154. So I'm going to use those colors on his robe and his hat. And I'm also going to use some Fine Tech watercolor, and I have selected champagne silver, and I have had it getting all ready for the last few minutes, so it is ready to do. I've got some paper behind here. I am going to do the hat brim. And then the rest of the hat will be in the turquoise blue. We'll let that dry. And I know it looks very gold on it, but it is actually a champagne silver. And I am going to be using the blue colors, and I'm going to actually try using the Ecoline brush pen on this part here. So, and then I'm going to have a very thin strip of silver right along there. So I'll get this done, and then I can do the silver. It's looking quite dark in the camera, but it's actually quite a nice vivid color. So gonna have to turn the book a little bit, sorry. Okay, we're gonna let that dry, and I am going to finish off his hat. Here's how it's looking. And we'll let that dry a bit. I am going to take an extra small paintbrush and do the slight silver around the outside of his collar. I'm using a 5/0 size. About a millimeter, so very, very fine. This side's a little bit bigger, so that'll be a little bit easier. How's it looking so far? Gonna have to decide on gonna pull out a macaron pencil color for his skin tone. Okay, I think I'm gonna use a combination of beige and Wan Brilliant. And let's see how that goes. Good place to test your skin tone color is on the ears because they are set back and you can kind of erase them if you don't like the color. I think that'll be good. Let's grab us a table topic question. What scared you most when you were young? Well, when I was younger, I rode horses, and I mean, got to a point where I was getting pretty good at falling off, so it wasn't as scary, but I did break my arm falling off a horse, and we did do 3-day eventing and show jumping and that kind of stuff. So cross country, I was most scared of that, and so we'd be going towards a jump on the cross country and got to the point where I would just bail off of the horse before I got thrown off. So yeah, probably falling off a horse. I did break my arm, like I mentioned. Riding my horse, kind of just a suggestion of a nose here, so I'm gonna have to add some shading to make sure it's there. So have you found a picture to color for Movember? I was surprised how many, I don't have many coloring books with men in it, so certainly there are lots of portrait coloring books with women, but not men. It was harder than I thought to find one. I'm not sure how he's looking, but now he is Chinese, so he's going to have black hair. This one was Chinese as well, and he would try so hard to grow a mustache, and during COVID it was quite funny because he wore a mask all the time like everyone else, so he actually did grow a mustache, and then he grew like a Fu Manchu strip, kind of like this fellow here, so his mustache and then a little bit of a soul patch under his chin, and then he kept growing it longer and longer, and it was quite hilarious. And he wouldn't shave it off because he knew it agitated me, so yes, it was funny, and this picture reminds me of that. I'm going to do his hand. These are the macaron pencils, so they're not as, I mean, they're fine, but they're not as smooth as the polychromos. But I just don't have a lot of skin tones in polychromos, so, and these work well with them. Grab some shell pink. I think the blue is a nice color. Not sure how I'm doing with the skin tone. Definitely not a portrait colorist, so apologize in advance. Just adding some pink to the yellow undertone of the skin, trying to make it as realistic as possible, but I'm just adding it, using the pink to add some shadows. Okay, I'll keep working on the skin, but we will move on to some of his shirt. Okay, we're working now on the robe, and I'll just zoom you in, and you can see this area I've done of the lower sleeve, and I am using the 3 turquoise colored pencils, polychromos, and then I've also grabbed a Chinese white, which is the Derwent Drawing Chinese white, and I have colored this area. So the whole started by doing a base layer of the lightest turquoise, which is light cobalt turquoise 154, covered the entire area. Then I went and did the mid color, which is cobalt turquoise 153, and colored the entire dark area where the hatching is. And then to bring out a dark shadow for the darkest hatching area, I've taken my darkest turquoise, the Helos turquoise 155, and I have colored in basically the very depth, or where the darkest crease would be in all these hatched areas, because these hatched areas are a crease or a fold in the fabric. And so I'm putting in the darkest color there, and then coming back with my medium color and then blending that out. Then after I have blended everything out, I've come back with the lightest color and blended all of the mid shades out. And then if it needed to have a bit more blending, if there was some harsh areas, I would bring in the Derwent Chinese white and just blend those out. And where I want the kind of the highlight to be, like right along the edge, added just a little bit more white. And that's how I am doing the sleeves. So we'll move up to his shoulder area, and I will continue on with that. And while I am coloring, so again a light overall blue, then I'll go to the middle blue, then the darkest blue, and then back. So the next table topic question is, what movie made you laugh until you cried? Oh boy. Well, obviously for me that would have to be a comedy, or some type of animated film. So I wouldn't be thinking of a sad movie if I'm laughing so hard I cried. So the only kind of comedy ones that I've seen, or animated films I've seen of late, would be like the Minion movies. I think that's the last animated movie I saw. And while I did have a good laugh, a good chuckle, I don't think it made me cry. So that question's actually a little bit tougher than I thought. Not sure. What about you? In the comments below, is there a movie that made you laugh so hard you cried? It's nice that the illustrator has given us all these hash marks so that we know where the folds of the fabric are, and where there should be shadows, because I find fabric sometimes hard to get the folds just right. So it is nice to have some indication. And Kirby Rosan's books, he does that also quite well with his hatch marks. I'm not sure how I'm going to do these warriors that are on these horses, because they kind of look like it's, I'll zoom you out a bit, looks kind of like he's looking at a chess piece, or what I would imagine is, since he's probably a general in the army and he's planning out his war strategies, he's probably got all these pieces on a big table that he's moving around, figuring out where he should send his troops next. Kind of what I've envisioned going on in this picture. I got the color scheme from looking at the graphic novel, so When I see red, I thought immediately of red, but I didn't want his clothing to be red as well as all the lanterns, because I thought really wanted the lanterns and the clothing to both stand out on their own. Now I want to be careful that I'm not coloring this guy's, zoom you out a little bit. So I want to make sure that I'm keeping this fellow here separate from the emperor behind him, or the general behind him. We're going to move on to the other side of him, and the silver has dried, but it's still quite gold. So I don't know. Champagne silver apparently is basically light colored gold. It still looks good. Okay, I'll grab the next table topic question. What advice would you appreciate from a happy and successful 80-year-old? Well, this is actually perfect, because in the month of November here, in fact just next week, is my birth mom's birthday, and she is turning 80. So I will have to ask her what her advice is for me, because she is definitely a person that I look up to, and is a wonderful person and a great role model. So I would be happy to hear and listen from her advice pretty much about any topic. So I will be spending some time with her next week, and I will be sure to ask her this question and see what she has to say. She has lived and seen a lot, and so happy that I have her and my sister in my life. I was adopted as a child, so this is my birth mom Shirley, and my adopted mom Marlene has since passed away. So I do appreciate having Shirley in our lives, and a grandma to my son. Okay, what's your most prized possession? Now, since this is a coloring channel, let's narrow it down to just coloring supplies or books. So in keeping that in mind, what's your most prized coloring art supply / book? So I think I'm going to do one of each. I'm going to do one coloring book and one supply. I'm going to pick Ivy and the Inky Butterfly for my coloring book, only because I finished it in a complete year. Like, I took a full year to do the book from cover to cover. I colored it in order. It was my first completed book that I was so excited about, and I wanted to share, and that's why I started a YouTube channel. Although I didn't start my channel right away, but I did film it and posted it just for friends and family to view at first. So I think that's, and I did it thinking that one day I would have hopefully a grandchild that would like to read the story and have something that grandma colored. And I don't have any grandchildren, so this was definitely a futuristic thing. And since I am chronically ill, I thought that would be a nice legacy for in the future. So that, I guess, is still a pretty special book to me. So yeah, I think Ivy and the Inky Butterfly by Joanna Basford. And so that's the coloring book that's the most precious to me. And the coloring supply, I think, would need to be the one that I use the most, I love the most. So it's not always about being the most expensive coloring supply, although these are expensive. But they're ones that I use the most, and they're ones that I'm using right now in this video, and that would be my Polychromos pencils. And I'm a coloring pencil person. It is my favorite medium to use. So I think that, and it's the item that I use the most when I am coloring. I mean, I love using other mediums and stuff, but my colored pencils are, and always will be, probably my most used medium. So those are mine. Comment below. I'd love to hear what your most prized coloring supply and book are. Maybe it's a book that's out of print, like David Peterson's The Mouse Guard. That is also a pretty cherished book by those of us who have it. I think he's coming along. A few more coats of this. I'm not sure if I'm going to use Gamsol or not. I may just try and have a page with no Gamsol, or maybe at the very end I'll decide to add a bit to blend stuff out. But so far the colors are blending quite well on this paper just as they are. So I'm pretty happy with how it's turning out. So while I have used the Equaline brush markers on the sleeve and the collar, now I'm going to take a pencil crayon and just clean it up a little bit, make it a little bit darker and get rid of any spots, and maybe add a few highlights and spaces. So this part under here is under this area, so I'm going to do it darker to try and make you see that part. Okay, let's work on this headpiece. I'm using a Equaline marker, and it is in the color pastel blue. And I'm just doing the outside area. It has quite a fine tip, so it's getting into all the small little bits just good. And then I am going to sharpen up my, gonna let this dry first because it is water-based marker and it does soften the paper. So once it's dry, I'm going to take the darkest turquoise that I'm using, which is the Hilo turquoise, and I'm going to deepen up some of that area. So I'll give it a good sharpen. Okay, I have it sharpened, and I'm gonna do the inside areas. For the center, I have a blue glaze pen, and I'm going to actually do the whole thing. There's a face in the center of this, so I'm going to go around that. And then once this glaze is dry, I will color that. Okay, we'll leave that dry and I'll be back. Okay, here we are back. I have waited for a few things to dry. I have taken a Micron 0.03 marker and just cleaned up some of the lines and redrawn some of the lines around the hat area, colored the other three lanterns, and I have also added, using the same champagne silver, I have done some of the other items that I think would be metal on the little figures. This area I did in the blue glaze. I then did a little bit of items in the silver around the face. and then I did a black glaze with the black. So that is the headdress, and I will still finishing off the headdress by coloring in and just evening up any areas that are light, take away any of the streakiness from the water-based marker. I think I will do 1 or 2 more table topic questions, and then I think I will leave you. You can see the completed page at the end of the month. I think his skin is looking okay too. There is a bit of a yellow cast to the skin, but that's okay for his ethnicity. So I think I will come down and work on these guys down here. And I think we're going to bring some gray. So I'm going to pull out all of my cool grays. So we've got cool gray 1 all the way up to 6 area. So this is number 6. We're going to actually switch it up and go to cool gray 3. I'm going to lightly do this whole bottom rim. And our next table topic question is, if you could name the street you live on, what would you call it? I have lived on the same street. It's a rural street. It's actually an avenue. And I've lived here for 30 years. So at the beginning I would have called it Gravel Avenue, because it was gravel when we first came. But it has since been paved, so that wouldn't work anymore. Actually, I think it should be called Pheasant Avenue. And we have quite a few pheasants that live around our neighborhood, and they were also a favorite bird of my husband, and he actually raised pheasants for a number of years, and we have pheasants in taxidermied pheasants in our living room. And if I can remember, I will post a picture here of the pheasants in our living room. So yeah, it could be called Pheasant Avenue. So I'm going to do my lightest gray, and I'm going to do over all of the stones, and then I'm going to shadow with darker grays. I think I'm going to call it done here, and thank you very much for coming along with me. Remember to, if you have a chance this month in November, color a man with some facial hair, and we're calling it Movember 2023. Thanks for tuning in, and until next time, I hope you're having a colorful and creative week, and we'll see you in the next video. Take care. Bye-bye.